Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I hope that you are doing well and having a great day. If this is your first time visiting with me, I'd like to welcome you, and if you are a returning subby, I'd like to welcome you back. So this is our year-long collaboration with Amalia, who is Cool Cakes and Crafts with Amalia here, in which we will discuss our crafty goals and things we'd like to accomplish in our crafty world for 2019. I encourage you to go back to some of the previous videos to check out the progress that I've made, and I will share with you my May progress for 2019. In addition to that, in the description box below will be a list of the other participants. Why don't you head over to their channels and see what type of progress they are making towards their goals as well. We appreciate having you here. So this collaboration or recap may not be for everybody because you guys know for the most part I'm pretty transparent in what I say in my crafty goals, because this is going to help me determine where I'd like to go personally and professionally in my crafting now that my daughter's done with school. She graduates on Sunday, and so for the most part prior to that, I have 3 boys outside of her. I had 2 graduate college in May, and then I have 1 that's in the Marines, and then my daughter. So all of them are grown now, so the purpose for me to actually scrapbook has been minimized tremendously. And not just to scrapbook, but to craft in general. So I need to define what my purpose is going to be going forward so that I can tailor my spending and my space and just my mentality towards bringing whatever I have in mind to fruition. Okay, that having been said, I'm going to recap my crafty goals for 2019. I would like to utilize what I have in my stash. I want to utilize my electronic cutters a little bit more. I have the Cricut Maker. I have the Cricut Air. I have the Brother Scan and Cut, and I have the Silhouette. So far, the Cricut Air and the Silhouette get the most love. The Maker, I mean, I use it on occasion, but yeah, we'll get back to that. So yeah, I want to make more meaningful purchases and make more mindful purchases. I also wanted to participate in crafting activities or courses that are geared toward increasing my skill levels. One of the things I said I wanted to do was take a Copic coloring class, some water mediums. I want to find a crafty meetup in my community. So things of that nature. One of the things that makes it a little bit difficult for me is because I have a divided residence. Part of the year I am in the Baltimore, D.C. area, and part of the year I'm in Ohio, PA area. So that makes it a little bit difficult for me to kind of meet up and greet up and do the things I'd like to do, but I'm not going to make that be a deterrent. Okay, so for the month of May, I have been a busy bee. I have had loads and loads of projects. I had in December taken orders for mini albums for the graduating class of 2019, which is my daughter's graduating class, and I got 22 orders. So I had 22 albums to make. They had each 12 signature pages that could hold a capacity of 240 photos. Let's see what else I need to tell you guys about that. I asked them when I gave out order forms if they're kids participated in any type of special projects, if they were on any committees, if they did any after school activities, if they played any sports. And my mentality was that I was going to utilize whatever they told me to bust down my stash. And I did just that. So I pulled out the stickers that I had. I pulled out my cutting machines and utilized files that I hadn't used in a while. I just went through a plethora of things. So I did a major stash busting. Excuse me. So I did that. Oh, I am. Let's see. Did I get to where I went? Okay. So I did that. I had a baby shower that I was contracted to make decorations for, so I did that. And then this upcoming week, well, the week of June the 10th through the 14th is my staff appreciation week. We have that entire week off, and I'm responsible for planning activities for us, because after that week we go into our busy season. And the likelihood of us being able to have some relaxing time after that is going to be nil. So between June and August, I'm going to be swamped for the most part. So my year-to-date spending as of the end of May of 2018 was $5,962.14. And if you don't know how I keep track of that, why don't you go to one of the other videos in which I explain in detail my method of, well, I don't explain in detail, but I explain how I keep track of what I spend. And as of yesterday, 2019, I spent $851.96. So this month I had an increase and a increase. Well, let me explain. So Mother's Day was this month, so I got money to shop with for Mother's Day. And also in December, I required a 50% down payment on the memory album books, and this month was when the final payment was due and everybody paid. So I had an increase in incoming revenue that I could spend towards my craftiness. So I had about a $4,200 incoming profit this quarter, well, this month, for crafting. So that allowed me to reallocate some funding to some of the things I wanted to do, which I still want to stay on track. You guys know that my budget for the month is $300. I want to stick to that, and I've been doing very well. This month I made some kind of lofty purchases because they had Memorial Day sales. So I purchased from Simon Says Stamp, from Blitzy, from Carpe Diem markers. I added some Copics to my collection. I did some Tuesday morning shopping, and I also shopped the sale that they had at Hobby Lobby with the discount items. Yeah, so I spent a little bit this month, but I'm still on track. Still on budget. All right. So our topic of, or our focal point for this month is to persevere. And we all know what persevere means. It means to trek on despite having obstacles. So I wanted to tackle this in two ways, because I want this to also be something personal that you can use, as well as how to help you in your crafting roadblocks. So for me, ways that I persevere in crafting is I Well, first of all, what are crafting roadblocks? To me, crafting roadblocks are things that can impede your progress, such as no inspiration or having too much inspiration, having too many ideas, too many supplies, too many goals, not quantifying your goals, having health commitments or outside commitments, not having a defined purpose of why you're crafting. That's a big one. Having lack of space, overextending yourself. Those are just some things to me that I think are crafting roadblocks. And so what do I do when I get to those points? First of all, I like to minimize procrastination any way I can. I do not like to wait to the last minute to do things, for the simple fact that it does not allow for unforeseeable events to be accounted for. So I'm going to give you a a wild but very, 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 very true scenario. My community that I live in is underdeveloped. There are very minimal houses around, probably about 20 within like a 4 to 6 mile radius. Well, somebody built a $900,000 home in our area, and that has caused other people to have some issues with their taxes. An increase with their taxes because it's driven the value of their homes up as well. Now, I know that's a far-fetched thing, but it is something that you cannot account for if you don't have a surplus, if you're not saving for rainy days, which, we need to do so. Same thing in the crafting community. We see things that we want and we hurry up and purchase them, and we run out and get them because they're a good deal, or because other people short, or we watch hauls, or we don't have it in our stash. But we don't look at what we do have in our stash that we can utilize, or see if there's a much better way to get a bigger discount. For instance, right now the Tim Holtz what is it called? The Sidekick is on sale. Well, will be on sale this upcoming week at Tuesday morning, and it's $24.99. Now, a better deal would be to wait and go to AC Moore, who does have the Sidekick. They do not consider it to be a cutting machine, and use a 60% off. So you will be getting it for $20. So it's a difference of savings of $5. Does it matter to somebody? It's marginal, but yeah, it could make a difference to somebody. But that's just my point in just kind of shopping around, waiting a little bit for a better bargain, making better utilization of your coupons, things of that nature. So another thing that I do to minimize another thing that I do to persevere is to tackle my most difficult projects first. So the things I know I don't want to do, I hurry up and do those. So for instance, for me, when I was making the albums, I bought 20 iris bins. And each one of the iris bins, I cut all my chipboard up. I pulled from my stash everything that I could, a great part of everything that I could. So if I had stickers of people who were bowlers, I put that in the iris bin along with their color selection, so that I could have everything ready to pump out when I went to make the construction of their albums. So I did a little pre-planning with that. That's the thing that I think was the most difficult for me, because I had to actually pull from my stash, and I wanted to make good utilization of what I had, and I also wanted to get rid of some of the things that I had. I had a lot of tape runners that I had for a while, and after a while, if you don't utilize your tape runners, they start to separate from the backing paper, if they get too old. Same thing with your glue. It loses its tackiness, things of that nature. So I really wanted to get rid of some of the stuff that I had in my stash for a while so that I can replenish them with new items. So, okay, so that's one of the things I do. I tackle the most difficult projects first, which is usually the things I want to do the least. And also, identifying your purpose and prioritizing. So that's a big one for me. Why are you crafting? Are you crafting because it makes you happy? Are you crafting because you want to generate a revenue from it? Are you crafting because you like making people happy? Are you crafting because it's a hobby? It relaxes you. It, forces you to utilize creativity. You have to determine what your purpose is. To me, I think that should have probably been number one on the list. Find out what your purpose is, and then you can tailor whatever it is based on your purpose. Okay, and for me, another thing is that to maximize my ability to persevere, is I delegate. I don't want to have certain headaches, and if I put too much on my plate, I'm going to. So, if I have like friends or my family's not doing anything and we're just chilling, I ask them, hey, you mind cutting this board down for me or helping me with this? And 9 times out of 10, with the exception of my daughter, everybody will pitch in. No way. So so another thing I do is I dedicate a walk-away time increment. So if I'm working on something and I'm stumbling, I'm not feeling it, it's garbage, I don't like it, I don't love it, I give myself a designated time increment and then I'll come back to it. If I come back to it the second time and I still feel the same way, I chalk it. I don't spend more time worrying about if I'm going to love it or not. I just go to something else. So, for instance, if I'm working on a mini album, and I'm not liking the way that it's turning out, I walk away from it. So I'll come back. I'll give you an example. So I made this box, and this is a Hamper Box. It's by Tonic Studio, and for some reason I did not like this. This is a support that holds the box in place, and I didn't like it. But I had already cut this out. It's a die. I had already cut it out, and I was determined that I wanted to use this. So what I did was I chalked that one, and I came back and I created this one. Now, for this one, it's the same concept. I omitted the inner portions of... I'm sorry, I got it filled. So I'm putting some gift cards in there tomorrow. But I omitted the inner portion of that, and it still has the same purpose that it was going to serve before. So that's one of the things that I did. I didn't like the way this came out, so I modified it and came up with this one. And this one I'm totally happy with. So that's another thing that I do is I designate myself a walkaway time. So I made this one. 24 hours later, I came back and was like, okay, so this construction is still pretty sturdy. These are not really serving a purpose. I'm going to 86 them. That's exactly what I did. Plus, the magnets that I use are strong enough that they will hold the composition of the 110-pound card stock anyway. So I learned that during the process. And so another thing to do to persevere in my case is to pre-prep or pre-plan. I only do this when I have a deadline that I need to meet. So if I know that I need to get things done, I pre-plan or I pre-prep. But in my everyday life, I am not a planner. Too many things. I have too much fluidity in my day to actually plan. And too many things change at the drop of a dime. So I do not plan anything. But when I have a deadline to meet, or when I have a project that I'd like to have in time, or in, I have a goal in mind that I want to create this certain thing by, I designate a due date. And so that helps me. So there we pretty much have it. I am going to try to get this video up and out of here. I'm not going to share any of the projects that I made. Like I said, I did a whole bunch of mini albums. I finished up a whole bunch this month. I did a whole bunch of off the page projects that I'll probably share in another video. Well, I'll share this one because it's here. But I did this little Maggie Holmes inspired book. This is a prototype. Civ, who is a Crafty Poodlemom, shared on her channel something similar to this, and it's a silhouette cup file, and I knew that I had this file, and so I took her idea and adopted it to my own. And so in that process, I made a card, and then I made a little book to showcase a couple things. So again, this is just my prototype. I haven't done anything with it, or finished it or anything of that nature, because time got in the way. So what another thing I will say is that I will allow myself to walk away from something. I do not feel bad in saying, hey, this is not for me. I'm not going to waste any more time on it. It's a done deal. And I allow myself to do that. And I also, there's times where I will, just chill, have some time for myself, which I think will allow you to, relax and regroup to see where you need to go, where you're trying to go. So before I let you guys go, another thing that I think is essential in kind of persevering or kind of charting your progress is kind of, I'm going to write it down. It's called futureme.org. What futureme.org is it is an app. Well, no, it's not an app. It's an it's a website that allows you to send yourself an email. You can designate a time to send yourself an email. You can designate 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And what it allows you to do is to maybe, write yourself a letter like, okay, future me, dear future me, in the next 5 years, I see myself as a congresswoman for this. So it allows you to be as detailed as you want. Or, dear future me, in the next 2 years, I want to be a business owner. Anyway, you write the letter out and you email it to yourself at a designated time, and it allows you to see at said time if you've made the progress that you wanted to make. So I thought I would share that with you guys. That's something I do with my staff, and it's also something I do on a professional basis to kind of, chart some of my personal goals. So you guys, I have spent 25 minutes with you all. I appreciate you. If you are a new subby, this is a different type of video. I usually don't do very many crafty hauls or things of that nature because I really don't have the time. But another thing that was one of my goals is that I want to at least do 3 things to interact with the community on the YouTube basis. And so I'm going to be dedicated to that. This is one of them. I'd like to participate in a project, which I usually do. This month I did a tag swap with Creative Mama, who is a creative mommy here on YouTube. In the description box below will be a link to that channel and what I made. And so again, guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry this is a lengthy video, but thanks for your time. Bye for now.